Amazon FBA fees can be super confusing for beginner Amazon sellers. So in this video, I'm going to give you a full steps A to Z, everything you need to know guide on Amazon FBA fees, fully updated for 2025 from someone who made over $100,000 profit in just my first 10 months. Let's get right into it. We're going to go through all the different fees, guys. And if you have any questions, make sure to let me know down below in the comments and subscribe for more. The first fee you need to know about is actually the fee to sell on Amazon's platform, which is going to be for your Amazon seller account, which is actually the first step to start your Amazon business as well. There's two types of Amazon seller accounts: a professional seller account, which is $40 per month, and an individual seller account, which is $0 per month plus $1 per sale. So if you plan on selling over 40 units, which if you're watching this video, you totally should, just go ahead and get started with the professional seller account. If you do opt to go with an individual seller account, you do lose lots of important features like adding multiple users to your accounts, getting restricted products, and you get a lot more buy box share when you have a professional seller account as well. Amazon does not require an LLC for either of them. So if you're a brand new Amazon seller watching this, go ahead and get your professional seller account open as soon as possible. It's $40 per month plus $0 per sale. Way better than an individual account. Trust me. The next fee you guys are going to need to know about is actually once you start selling products, which is going to be the flat referral fee for actually being able to sell through Amazon's platform. Now, there's two different ways to sell products on Amazon. Amazon FBA, where you ship products off in bulk to the Amazon warehouse, and Amazon FBM, otherwise known as merchant fulfillment, when you ship products directly to the customer. I'm a big fan of both of those, mainly FBM for beginners and FBA long-term. However, you can totally do both, and you should do both as a new Amazon seller, even on the same account. Regardless of what type of fulfillment type you're selling a product through, you are going to pay that 15% referral fee. That's just a flat 15%. So if you sell an item for $100, you're going to pay 15% directly to Amazon, regardless of what type of fulfillment you're selling that product through, whether it's FBA or FBM. And the nice thing is, guys, the vast majority of the heavy lifting in terms of actually calculating the fees on your products, the ones that go to every single sale, you can just do through the SellerAmp product research tool. So SellerAmp's only $20 per month. You can try it for 2 weeks completely free on our website, selleramp.com. I'll pop up a little graphic here. It basically just breaks down the exact profit and takes into account all the important fees I'm going to mention. So don't think you're going to need like crazy math skills to sell on Amazon, though. That first fee you're going to need to know about in respect to actually selling products is that 15% flat referral fee. The next fee for actually selling products via Amazon FBA is going to be the FBA Fulfillment Fee, aka what Amazon charges you for actually going ahead and fulfilling your inventory to your customers and handling all the customer service, picking, packing, and shipping. So this one actually varies based on the size and weight on the products, and I could bore you guys and pull up like a big graphic here, which you could use to go ahead and calculate that. Or you could just use the SellerAmp profit calculator, which is going to factor in the referral fee, like I mentioned, as well as the FBA fulfillment fee as well. So just use SellerAmp there. It does change between every item based on size and weight, but you can calculate that via SellerAmp right there and just go ahead and enter in your buy cost. Then it's going to pop out the exact profit you're going to make on that. So don't overthink the FBA fulfillment fee, guys. The next fee is also going to be only when you ship products off to the Amazon FBA warehouse, and it definitely is something you want to take into account when you're actually going ahead and calculate what you're going to make on a specific product, and that's going to be how much it costs to actually ship the product off to the FBA warehouse. Luckily, you can actually input this on the back end of the SellerAmp profit calculator. So when you enter in a buy cost and it spits out the numbers, just like it factors in the referral fee and the FBA fee, it's also going to factor in the shipping to Amazon. It's typically right about 70 cents per pound. However, that can be a little bit more when you're a newer seller and you're not using perfect size boxes relative to the amount of items you have. So I recommend just going ahead and putting in 70 cents per pound. It's going to be a little bit higher when you're a newer seller on some shipments and significantly lower over the long term. I've been able to consistently get it down to like 40 or 50 cents a pound very consistently as well, because I'm buying, the perfect size boxes for my different products right there too. Also, if you guys want the full blueprint to sell on Amazon FBA in 2025, not just the Amazon fees, and you want a full free course, I'm going to leave a link down below in the description to my free course, split up into 5 different sections: getting your business set up correctly, product analysis, multiple hours of live product research, all the back end and organization, listing, and shipping you need to know about as well, and then actually scaling up your Amazon business too. So make sure you take a look and actually go through the free course after this video so you can see step by step everything you need to know to get rock and rolling ASAP on Amazon FBA. The next fee you guys are going to need to know about is shipping fees for FBM products. So when you actually sell a product via Amazon FBM, you don't pay those FBA fees. But when you sell a product via FBA, you don't pay individual shipping because you pay those bulk rates that are super cheap, like I just mentioned, and you do pay those FBA fees. Both of them are based on size and weight though, so they typically end up being about the same thing. However, make sure you take a look at these right here and go ahead and take a screenshot of that. It's very, very important that you know the actual estimated FBM shipping costs, so you can go ahead and use the SellerAmp FBM calculator right here, where instead of just subtracting the FBM shipping costs from the profit you see on SellerAmp, you actually have to scroll down and toggle over to FBM, and then you'll see the FBM calculator right here, and you have to plug in the FBM cost. So we're going to pop up the FBM shipping costs again right here. Make sure you take a screenshot of that, and that's what you're going to plug in to actually calculate that. Because remember, guys, when you FBA something, you don't pay individual shipping, but you do pay FBA fees. And when you do merchant fulfilled, you don't pay FBA fees, but you do pay that individual shipping cost. And it's important that you calculate that correctly using the FBM calculator on SellerAmp, scrolling down, toggling to FBM, and then plugging in that FBM cost right there. And then in terms of actually shipping out your FBM products too, under 1 pound is typically going to be USPS. Above 1 pound is typically going to be UPS. However, just buy whatever's cheapest through Amazon when you're actually buying your shipping on there. Don't overthink that, guys. It's nice and easy. All right, so those are all the fees that SellerAmp actually takes into account on the SellerAmp Prof calculator. And now I want to talk about some of the ones that take more into account over the long term as you're becoming more of a mature seller. When you're a newer seller, I primarily recommend focusing on selling products merchant filled. However, over the long term, you typically end up selling products mostly via FBA. And there's two main FBA storage fees you need to take into account: the monthly storage fees and the long-term storage fees as some of your inventory becomes aged if you're buying products that don't sell that quick, which if you watch my videos won't happen. I do want to be honest with you guys about what that does look like though. So for actual storage fees on Amazon, Amazon charges more storage during the peak season, which is October to December. So there's basically non-peak, which is January to September, and peak, which is October to December. And these actually do change a little bit as your inventory ages, but I do want to give you just like the standards so you have an idea of it. Once again, the majority of your products you're buying should sell within the first 30 days, so you don't have to worry about this, but I do want to give you guys a general idea of what that looks like, which is going to be standard products during non-peak season at 78 cents per cubic foot and oversized products at 56 cents per cubic foot non-peak. And then during the peak season, it gets significantly more expensive with standard items at $2.40 per cubic foot and oversized products at $1.40 per cubic foot. Like I said, this does change a little bit. You can Google it if you want a full breakdown. But like I said, guys, the vast majority of products you're buying should sell within those 30 days. So you don't even got to worry about that. At each quarter year interval, it does go up a little bit right there. And then once you hit the 365-day period on a specific ASIN, which if you're a newer seller watching this, the absolute earliest you could run into would literally be a year from today, assuming you ship in a product and it doesn't sell. If you watch my product analysis videos, you're not going to have to worry about that. But long-term storage fees are when an item is over 365 days in your inventory at Amazon. And what that's going to look like is either the greater of 15 cents per pound of inventory you have at the FBA warehouse for that product, or $6.90 per cubic foot. So that's why it's really important to always take a look at your inventory age in Amazon Seller Central. There's an inventory planning tab that's really helpful in that. You can see your days in inventory and your turns numbers to know how fast your products are selling. Personally, though, from the get-go, I started out mainly selling products FBM to learn. Now I sell mainly FBA, and I don't really run into big storage fees because I'm buying products that I know actually sell, that I can see. Taking a look at the SellerAmp data, taking a look at the Keep a Product Research Tool data, I can see they have good proven sales history. And the nice thing is Amazon recently announced they're not going to raise fees in 2025 as well, which is very, very helpful too. Really, the only confusing ones are the monthly storage fees and long-term storage fees. But assuming you're buying products that consistently sell, you don't even really got to worry about them. All right, the next fee I do want to mention is one I would not recommend any of you guys ever have to pay, which is actually getting Amazon to prep your products for you. So when you're prepping inventory yourself or eventually using a third-party prep service, they're going to have to put the SKU label on every product unless you want to pay Amazon 55 cents per unit to go ahead and actually do that for you, which doesn't sound too bad. However, it actually is really expensive compared to paying someone else to do it because you do have to ship to Amazon regardless, but it also tends to make the process longer, the inventory actually checking in. So I personally would always recommend doing these SKU labels yourself. You can just buy the SKU labels on Amazon, nice and easy, and then you get to avoid that 55 cents per pound. However, if you're creating Amazon FBA shipments and listing inventory through Boxem, we do give you an option to have Amazon prep your inventory for you. I just personally wouldn't recommend it because it just adds a step of shipping it to Amazon, then having them label for you, then having it actually go out and check in, rather than you doing the labeling yourself or just selling the products merchant fulfilled and getting them sold a lot quicker. The next fee is going to be the returns fee. So when you're a beginner seller, I wouldn't recommend really worrying about selling products that get returned super often because you want to get proof of concept. You want want to learn, but eventually you do want to optimize and sell items that don't get returned as much, like beauty products, grocery products, pet supplies, vitamins and grocery, for example, can't even be returned. Items like shoes, for example, and some high-ticket electronics do get returned a lot more often. And the returns fee, which is typically pretty much synonymous with the pricing you pay just for the fulfillment of that product, can add up a little bit. But the cool thing is, guys, you do have a choice of what you actually go out and sell. And over the long term, typically you end up selling more and more products get returned less and less, just proportionally based on the type of item. But when you're a beginner, take what you can get and understand that items that have sizing and variation tend to get returned a little bit more often than consumable products that people are buying, every single month, for example. And naturally, those return fees can add up if you're buying products to get returned super often. However, you can also tell based on your ROI. And then if it's a grocery product, you can buy a lower ROI because there's not returns on that item. But if it's a clothing item or a shoe item, you probably don't want to buy something that's 25% ROI, especially if it gets returned often. And the more you sell, the more data you personally get on how that item is going to get returned for your business. All right, and the last fee I want to mention, guys, is disposal of products. So if for whatever reason you just want Amazon to dispose of items, which once again, I don't really recommend doing, I'd rather you get it sent back to you than liquidated elsewhere. But just like storage fees, they're standard and oversized. So for standard items under 2 pounds, it's 15 cents a unit. Above 2 pounds, it's 30 cents per unit. And for oversized items, it's 30 cents per unit under 2 pounds and 60 cents per unit over 2 pounds for if you just want Amazon to go ahead and get rid of your products, which I would never recommend doing. But if for whatever reason you do want to go and do that, for example, I used to sell a lot of used books, so sometimes I would do that because the used books didn't really cost me much. But these days I talk about online and retail arbitrage, which that definitely does come up, and those items are a lot more expensive. So I would never recommend disposing, just have them shipped back to you. Go ahead and get rid of them elsewhere, just liquidation on another marketplace or host a yard sale or something like that. So guys, that's the full walkthrough on Amazon FBA fees. If you want to take the next step and check out my free course, it's 8 hours, you totally go through the full thing. Or if you want your hand held through this entire process, I do have a mentorship program. I'll leave a link down below in the description. You could go ahead and see some of the people we've helped. That's going to have 3 group coaching calls a week, full one-on-one access to me. You also get a live one-on-one Zoom call with me. I'll plug you in on all my coupons, tips, tricks, and strategies. So go ahead and take a look at that. Make sure to subscribe for more. Let me know any questions, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much for watching.